So now that we've finished for the playing season, can't believe that. I'm going to start with what's next. Obviously, there's the combine, where 2 weeks from today I will be there. How about that? Yeah, the combine is the on-field drills for the combine starts 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Wow.
So boom, we're at the combine. Then boom, 2 weeks after that, it's the new league year. And the new league year is when, as we all know, all of what's going to happen between now and then becomes official. Don't forget, like at this point last year, Matthew Stafford was essentially already traded to the Rams. And that just didn't become official to the new league year. And so the carousel started spinning. And then for Deshaun Watson, it was spinning off its axis because he basically told the Texans, I don't want to come back. And then we've all found out what was going on with his massage world. And he has still not played a game. But he appears to be back on that carousel. And that's part of the reason why we're going to have Mike Florio on here is because now you're hearing he's coming up with a new list of teams because everything's kind of reconfigured.
Yeah. Okay.
For instance, last year at this time, who was definitely not on his list of teams? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know who's on his list of teams right now? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because Tom Brady is now retired, although never say never.
Allegedly.
Right. And so the Vikings are now on his list of teams because they've got Kevin O'Connell coming from the Rams. Zimmer's not there anymore with his run first and then run second and don't put the ball in the air third. And he's gone. And now Kevin O'Connell's going to be bringing in, one would think, the Sean McVay system or something like that. Now suddenly Minnesota interests him, but they do have Kirk Cousins for the same amount of money I do believe Garrett Cole is making this year.
Oh,
all guaranteed.
36.
Close to it. So there's... Things are totally reconfigured. So what I have done is, as things are right now, the Wednesday after Super Bowl 56, I'm going to give you the snapshot of what the quarterback market is going to look like in the NFL. And keep this in your mind's eye because this is the sort of stuff that we will be talking about over the next month. I know March Madness is going to start to heat up and the NBA obviously having its All-Star game, and then the second half de facto of their season heats up. But this is the stuff that you're going to hear rumors and conjecture about. And my reviewing of all of this begins right now with the list of teams that are out. Don't worry about these guys. They're out. They're not looking for a quarterback for a good long while. Yep. So we're going to start weeding down the list. And here are the teams that are out for a good long while. The Chiefs, obviously. The Chargers, these are all obvious. Bengals, Bills, Cowboys, Dak. They got him. Rams, I'm putting them on this list. Okay. I think they're going to redo Matthew Stafford, and he's their quarterback for as long as he wants to play. The Patriots clearly have their guy in Mac Jones. The Ravens, I know Lamar is still not signed long-term there, and I'm just going to say that's going to work out. And clearly they're not looking for a new spot. And then I'm putting the Las Vegas Raiders on this list because I'm hearing Derek Carr is going to be re-signed. And if that happens, that, good long while, it's like 3-4 years. And I'm putting the Jaguars on this list. I am going to evaluate Trevor Lawrence still as generationally talented, even though Urban Meyer didn't do him a single favor this year in getting him up to speed on what it's like to be coached by an NFL coach and surrounded by an NFL system. And I'm still putting Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars on this list that they're not going to be interested for a good long while. Then you've got teams that are definitely going to be in this market. And it's fascinating because we haven't seen some of these teams definitely in the market for a quarterback in a while. And that includes the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yep. Last time they were in the market, like, again, we're talking about drafting. And we're talking about acquiring in free agency or making a big swing for a trade if there is a veteran available. And I'm going with the Steelers on this list. I'm going with the Buccaneers on this list. The Saints are on this list. I'm putting the Panthers on this list because even though Sam Darnold is there for the 5th year option money, I think if they want to make a big swing, if Deshaun Watson says, it becomes a viable quarterback and says, I want to go to Carolina. What are they going to do? Not jump at him? Yeah. And then the Broncos are there, and the Washington Commanders are here. I mean, we had Ron Rivera on last Friday, and I said, is your quarterback on the roster? And he said pretty much everything but yes.
Right.
I think the Commanders are going to be in the market to make a big swing at somebody. So I put those teams on that list. It's kind of a short list. And then this is where things get tricky. This is where the quarterback carousel gets either crowded or not. And the category next here that I have is sticking with the plan.
Okay.
So they've got either a veteran that they've signed and they're saying he's still our guy, even though they didn't advance in the playoffs or get to the Super Bowl, or it's somebody that was recently drafted and they're just sticking with that plan. And those teams are the Tennessee Titans, even though we think that would be an outstanding fit for Aaron Rodgers if he wants to leave Green Bay. And then there are a host of teams that are recently drafted guys. Jets, they're sticking with their plan, Zach Wilson. Bears, clearly with Justin Fields. San Francisco is going to start Trey Lance this year, people. I'm just telling you that. Week 1 starter, barring injury, Trey Lance for the 49ers. Browns are sticking with their plan. They've got Baker Mayfield, and they're going to see what happens. And that's the same thing with the Giants and Daniel Jones. And Mike McDaniel, the new coach, one of the more viral videos this week that we didn't talk about last week, pardon me, for the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl kind of took center stage, was him calling Tua and telling him, I believe in you. We're going to give you the tools. Now, could that be thrown out the window? Yeah. But for right now, they're sticking with a plan, and those are the 7 teams sticking with the plan. And this is now where things can get really sticky on that carousel. There's a bunch of teams that are maybe in the market, maybe not. We don't know. Who's going to force their way out? Who's going to say, I want out? Who's going to sit there and make then that decision for somebody else's hand who's like, you know what? We're sticking with our plan, but no longer. And so this is kind of a mix of what I just said about sticking with a plan and now maybe in the market. If Russ wants out, Seahawks are going to be in the market, right?
Yep.
I don't know about the Houston Texans. Davis Mills had a very good first year, but does Lovie Smith, the Texans want to just go with somebody else, or is that going to be Davis Mills' gig? The Colts, you're hearing all about how Carson Wentz could stay or maybe not. They were so disappointed by his performance in the last 2 weeks. Jim Irsay was not happy that this guy was unvaccinated, and then he gets COVID. Didn't miss a start, but wasn't the same. Anybody who got COVID on that team pretty much wasn't the same. Chris Ballard said the virus pretty much did them in. I had Arizona on this list about last week as never for a long time. But are they in the market? Is Kyler Murray going to force his way out or what? What is all of this about right now? What the hell is essentially going on in Arizona? Is Minnesota going to be in the market if Deshaun Watson makes himself available? Is somebody like, Kevin O'Connell gets there and he's like, yeah, I don't think this is workable. And they go somewhere else? I don't know. I don't think so. But I think this is going to be Kirk Cousins' final year there. The Philadelphia Eagles say that it's Jalen Hurts, but with them sitting there with all those draft choices, first overall draft choices in this year's draft, I have no idea what the heck they're going to do. Did the Lions move on from Jared Goff? Maybe they're in the market. I don't know. And then what about the Falcons? They're sitting there with Matt Ryan, who can light it up when he's upright. And this was kind of a 500 year. And the Falcons needed to either rebuild on the spot or take advantage of their window, and neither happened this year. And I'm wondering if they're going to sit there and go, we can't have another year of neither happening. Like, we either need to take advantage of the window with this veteran quarterback that we have while he's still upright and slinging it around, or we need to just move on and start fresh. I have no idea. And there's one linchpin to this whole carousel that can keep it spinning like crazy or stop it in its tracks or totally make it a different ride for everybody involved, and that's the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. That's the carousel linchpin. What's he going to do? And he says it's going to be a decision before the new league year begins, which means in the next 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to start hearing all sorts of stuff. All sorts of stuff. And until 12 himself says it, I don't know. Nobody knows. Because if he says, yes, I want out, all those quarterback needy teams are going to go nuts. And some that are maybes are going to go nuts. And some that are sticking with the plan are going to say, there's a plan AR?
But what about...
We have plan A, but there's a plan AR?
What about 12?
Really? What's that plan look like? Let's go. Somebody get me Gutekunst on line 1.
Gutekunst.
That is your carousel linchpin, and that's the setup of this dynamite next month in the non-playing season. And I cannot wait to get to the combine because there is going to be so much chatter and the chatty Cathys and the did you hear this, did you hear that? Oh my gosh, the guy who is the assistant to the assistant trainer at that team told me this. And you know what, the assistant to the general manager that used to be in that place but is now the new VP of ops at that place, and his assistant told me this about that. Oh baby, this agent saying this, that groupie saying that.
It's gonna be awesome.
Oh boy, and I'm gonna tell you everything that I hear. Plans to, expects to, all of that language. Not likely, unlikely, highly likely, per sources. By the way, that is my favorite source.
Per?
Because I do love Scandinavia, and per comes straight from Scandinavia. Yeah. Per sources.
Yeah.
Close to? What about close to?
Close to. That's, well, close to is not a source. It's a situation.
What about unnamed?
Unnamed is a source.
Is a good one.
Unnamed is a good source.
Source close to.
Monitoring.
Close to is never close to a source. Close to is close to a situation.
Right, monitoring the situation.
Monitoring the situation. You don't want to have somebody monitoring the situation. That means that you're in the wrong side of the blotter. Yeah. That's all coming. What I'm saying. Oh, baby. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.